Should be okay. How you doing? Pretty good. I walked down to Castle and back to leave it out on the chalkboard. Thought not 50 games, so see how that goes. All right. I think we're about ready. Almost caught that. All right. Well, happy Thursday. So this is the game lab. To get access when someone's not here to let you in, which they're not supposed to do, you need to do the safety survey that's linked out here. If you send me your completed certificate for the lab safety training, I can submit an access request so you can get in. There's a little badge reader by the door. You just take your badge and swipe it, and then it lets you in. So not 100% necessary that you have access to the game lab because we're going to use the Windows Universal Platform so you can run your programs on PC. They will also run on Xbox, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight is how we get things to run on Xbox. Managing input on an Xbox generally doesn't have a mouse and keyboard. You can plug one in if you want to, but I don't recommend it. It's much more fun to use the actual controllers. So to test your input handling, you'll have to have access to the Xboxes. We're going to hopefully meet in here every week up until the end. So I think we're okay. I couldn't fit the entire class, but because not everyone shows up anyway, sort of works out. We've got folks online on Twitch, so thanks for hanging out online. When we do our final presentations, probably aren't supposed to be in this room. We'll see. We'll see what we can do, because I was able to fit the Xbox in my backpack and was all ready to pack it up and go because there were a bunch of people working in here, and then everyone left. And like 20 minutes before 6, I was like, oh, hey, come here instead, because it's much easier than me trying to drag the Xbox out to the room in Castle. It actually fits in my backpack. I was really excited. Like, I could walk around campus with this, with an Xbox in here. Probably no one the wiser. It would look a little bulky, but it fit. I was really excited. But I like this room better anyway. So you tell me if you hate this room. And we can actually change the lights too if it's too bright. It's really cool. We have like all sorts of lights. Lower the lights. Lower. Oh, it's gonna make a liar out of me. Oh, that's not good. Hold it. Oh, I can hold the button. There it goes. Ooh, this is what a $90 million building gets you. Thanks for your tuition dollars. Sorry, I was playing with the lights. I don't know if you heard any of that. Yeah, this was the new $90 million building. Thanks for paying tuition. It doesn't all go to me. I promise I don't make that much money. You can look it up, actually. You can see U of M salary information if you're the curious kind of fellow who wants to see that. Although the data's awful, which I have other issues with, but that's okay. Sorry, I just need to pull up Twitch here on the other monitor so I can see it. But I should watch the chat. I forgot to bring my mouse. I'm so sad. I did not pack my mouse this morning. Nope. We don't want volume. That's wrong. How is that coming out? An Xbox controller for PC? I think so. I've never actually plugged it in over USB. I should try that. I imagine it'd be the same. We can try it and see. I've got an Xbox and a USB cord. Which actually the USB cord is nicer anyway because batteries suck. That's what batteries in those wireless controllers. These are the AA ones. And it's not the new Xbox, I apologize. These are the Xbox ones that we had for a while. There wasn't money to get the new Xboxes. And the new Xbox development mode is actually harder anyway. So it's a little easier on Xbox One. What do I do with this now? Can I push buttons? I don't know how to tell if it's working or not. I'm super confused because I'm not actually playing a game. We'll find out later, I suppose, then. We'll give that a shot later and see what it does. All right, so in Visual Studio, there's a couple things we're going to need to do to develop on Xbox One. So there's an easy getting started page on Xbox. Something about this. I think I can find it. Yeah, this sounds right. And I can post this link here. I should remember to post some of these links here. You need PC. Windows 10 worked. 11 is fine as well. Worked okay. And this is Xbox One, not the Xbox Series X or Series S. So again, a little unfortunate here, but that's okay. Older Visual Studio still worked. The newer one was fine when I tested it out. My goodness, when was like 7-8 weeks ago, near the start of the semester. Should be fine. You need developer mode on Xbox One, which is a little funny. Fluffy, you have to send me the certificate. It should email you one. Just email it to me. It's like a PDF that auto generates or something like that. More than just a screenshot. So we make our project, Universal Windows Platform project. You're also going to need to be in developer mode. So on your computer, if you go to settings, open up your settings, there's one in here called developer mode. With developer settings, you need to turn on developer mode. It might not be on some of these lab PCs, but I can turn it on for you. I've got the right password to get in. Yay. I'm not allowed to give it to you. I apologize. So if you plan on using one of the lab PCs here, just let me know. I'll get it set up for you. I didn't want to go through and touch all 28 of them, or what, 4 times 6, 24 of them. I can do math. eventually, just for fun of it. But if you'd like to use them, I'd be happy to get them set up for you. So we've got two Xboxes in the room here. We've got one at the first pod here, and we got one at the second pod there, left and right. I think it's probably backwards wherever I'm showing, but you get the idea here. So you got to turn on developer mode so we can get going there. Then we're going to build our project, and we have to connect to the Xbox. So to get the Xbox, there's a start Xbox in developer mode. The developer mode tool doesn't work here. It used to work and it doesn't anymore. So Xbox One, there we go, Xbox. There's a way to get the boot into developer mode. This is not it. Dev mode. No, yeah, so the developer mode activation doesn't actually work anymore. There's a different way. Oh my goodness. I had it all written down. I apologize. It's been like 8 weeks and now I can't remember any of that. Is this it? Where did I find the instructions? All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to turn off screen sharing. It's in my email because that's where I keep things, of course. So, because why not, right? All right, not everyone in the world can see my email. You folks can, but that's fine. Where is it here? Oh yeah, that's the password. You didn't see that, right? It's not streaming. It's okay. All I have from Ian? Got it in here somewhere. Hang on. I swear it's in here. I'm having a day, friends. What, did he text it to me? Oh my goodness. This is not working. Windows 10. Exclude series. Yeah. It's Bing. It might maybe they don't have the same. All right, we will figure this out. Google. I haven't Googled anything in forever. Remote activation. It's failing me here. There's like a button I had to click. Why am I not? Developer mode. Not dev mode activation. Still looking for it, friends. Sorry. Yeah, we should ask ChatGPT. There we go. ChatGPT. All right, I can put the screen back on. We'll ask it. How do you enable developer mode on Xbox One? Settings. Let's try this. I'm going to give it a shot. Super excited. I'm sorry. Console info. ChatGPT live. Is it live? Yeah. Name reset data. No, it's not. Didn't lie on purpose. No, no, tell you like this is right. Like, no, it's not. Like, okay, it's not right. Sorry about
What I'm saying is, does it believe that it's lying? Believe that it's
Oh.
telling you
that. I don't know. Oh, it doesn't. ChatGPT doesn't know. It lies.
the truth? Exactly.
It worked like 8 weeks ago. I promise. I'm just too stupid to remember. How do I not? All right, we will find it here. Even your Google failed. Back. Select one. Developer mode. That's not useful. I don't want a slideshow. Developer mode activate. That's the same link, isn't it? Yeah, it's the same link. Yeah, dev mode. All right. We're having a rough time of it, friends. I'm sorry. Switch mode. Box one. Maybe Reddit has it. Nope. Bali inside? I had it from Ian. I swear I did. Is this it? Do you guys want to try your Google skills? See anything other than the activation? Ah, here it is. This is it. I think this is it. This might be it. It's like a stupid Konami code or something ridiculous. Right. They're on. Bumper, trigger. Where was something? That's the menu. Bumper's the close one, right? Trigger's the far one? Yeah, bumper is like PC game. All right, this one failed. I swear it's something like this, though. Where's the deleted? Lame. Changing the settings. All right, all right. We're getting close. Getting close. No? Oh, in console info. Console info. Clicking the wrong thing. Aha! It's stupid. It didn't. So this is okay. I will tell you a story though. If you have an Android phone and have ever tried to enable developer mode, theirs is worse. You have to go to the settings menu, about, and you have to tap the something button 7 times on an Android phone to enable developer mode. It's not like left, right, left, right. I, I kid you not. Let's enable dev mode Android phone. The build number. Tap the build number. It's 7 times. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. People are nuts. All right, we successfully got our Xbox in dev mode. I think it's starting right now. We'll find out. You want to try it on that one for fun? Yeah. This is the audience participation part, right? We need a controller though. Well, there's also a key where the controllers are too. So to find out, I think we can leave the controllers out if you guys don't steal them. Is that fair? Can we do that? So I have one more cord, but it's super short. Oh no, this one's not. This one's decent. Look at that. Okay, no, it's just on the floor. You got to. Nobody gets paid enough. Nobody gets paid enough. All right. You guys are having fun remotely. I apologize. This has been a lot of fun. Here, I can. That's fine. We got Xboxes. Come to the lab and check them out sometime. You'll be entertained, I'm sure. I think I can make this display the Xbox later, though. I think we can do that. Because I've got an HDMI cord, and I can point my camera at the projector like that. So instead of seeing me, you'll see the big, or not projectors. These are TVs now, right? Forget projectors. This is the $90 million building. We don't have projectors. We have TVs. So, all right. So we're going to start a new project. We want the Universal Windows Platform project. P. Oh, we did one of these before. There we go. A blank app for Universal Windows Platform. This is Xbox test. Sure, why not? Now, you have to pick these versions. Again, usually not too big of a deal. You get cooler features with later versions. We don't really particular care for most of those features. The stuff we're doing is not all that important. Defaults should be fine. If they don't work on Xbox, then we'll figure it out and have to change it later. But this should be fine here, whatever versions we want. So instead of updating, are we able to cancel the update on that? Or say update later? Or I don't know what option you get. That's fine. Oh, okay, so it's already in dev mode. So that one is in dev mode. The other Xbox was. So someone must have been trying to play actual games on the other Xbox. So if you're in dev mode, you're good. We'll be able to go from there. So remember, you get the main page XAML is our main screen here, and we get our fun little split view, our page, and then all the XAML behind the scenes. So for now, let's just grab a button. I want the common ones. Common, here we go. So let's grab a button, drag it in, and let's grab a text, right? A text block. Awesome. Then we need to give it a name. So this is text block. Sure, why not? And then our button here, come to the button. The zoom here is terrible on this, I'm sorry. It's scaled real bad. Come on, where's the button? Button. Give me the button. There's the button. So here's our, I don't know what's called a button. And then when we click on it, we want it to do something. So we'll set our text block, text equal hello world. Or how about Xbox world? And it should run on my local machine, no problem, because this is a universal Windows platform app. Should run on Windows. We'll find out. If you think to run on the Xbox, it'll be a little more interesting, but should work. All right. It's not sized properly. We can figure out the sizing stuff later. Don't worry. So we get button. Uh-oh. Where'd my text go? Well, that didn't work very well. Is it? Nope. Oh. Why is the text block up there? I must have done something bad. This is fitting for the day. And here's my text block. Right. Its name is text block. Let's change the name. So text block. And then let's move it. Come on. Grab my text block. I'm going to drag you over here. Text block. Somehow we got the sizing super huge on this. That's really weird. Nope. No, undo that. We don't want any of that. Just show the text. Sure. And we click it. This is okay, yeah, so text block. There we go. The lowercase version text block won't try and access the class variable. This should be a little nicer for us. See what we get now. Oh, the same color as the background? Maybe. I thought I saw some text. Yeah, text block. There we go. Okay. It changed. Hooray. So now we got our button. Now let's see if we can get it running on Xbox. So instead of local machine, we're going to pick device. The device? No. Remote machine? It's remote machine. Again, 8 weeks ago, I apologize. So yes, you want to allow access. You don't want this network stuff to be blocked, right? Because then we won't actually be able to get to the Xbox. So make sure you allow the firewall. It says, where do we want to go? So we need the address. So the Xboxes then, let me see if I can swap. I'll just look at it for a second. Where the monitor takes me, right? 141. That's a weird network address. Okay, so the network address on the Xbox is 141.215.8.59. Does that sound right? What's my IP? Yeah, okay. 140. That's a weird local network here. I wonder, it must be our weird Wi-Fi. It's been a while since I did networking, but that's sure. All right, so we picked the IP address of the Xbox. So it's shown in dev mode. Should be in the top left. So that one's offline right now? Oh, okay. Can it update in dev mode then? Can we trigger an update? Or is it still offline? It should be able to get on the Wi-Fi. Okay. We're looking at the other Xbox as well. So, all right, selected the device or the remote machine. They gave it the IP address, and we're going to try and run it. This should trigger on the remote machine here. Let's see what we get. Oh, goodness. Deployment errors. No, don't continue. Oh, sorry. Didn't change the target here. It's not an x86. It's 64-bit. All right, change the platform. Go back to remote machine. 141.215.8.59. All right, let's try that again. Run another remote machine. Excuse me. Oh, come on. Oh my goodness. Yep. I can't type. That would be. Local. Nope. Oh, I hit run. Now we're stuck for a minute. All right, close it. Remote. All right, hang on. Go to the properties. Configuration. I want to change my IP address. I broke it real bad. There it goes. Here. Okay, now I can change. So that was in my configure or Xbox debug properties. So it's not 85. It is just 8. Give that one a shot. All right, deploy started. That's a good sign. If it takes a while, we've got to package all this up, send it over the network to the Xbox. We're making progress. This is not the fastest thing in the world. I apologize. It's very exciting when it works, though. Ooh, while we wait, we can ban this guy. Ban hammer. All right, still thinking about the deploy. Oh, something's moving on the Xbox. It's a good sign. Let me change my screen here now. I'm going to plug the Xbox into the projector, or the TVs. We'll see if more stuff. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yes. That. Put this one in. I'm trying. Okay. All right, we got to the Xbox menu. I got a different error on my computer now. Unable to activate Windows Store app. That was annoying. All right, what do we get? So we got the remote access. That showed up there. So on the Xbox, there's a list now. Not long enough. I'm so close. I got the controller in my hand here. There's this list of games and apps. Here, let me point my camera over there. One of these days we'll figure this out. Let's see. I should have gotten like a capture card. That'd have been nicer, right? How's that? Can we see it? I wonder if I can get it on the other monitor here. I don't know. So we'll see if I can hit the game here. You should be able to run a game once it's deployed. Okay. Oh, I got to sign in. That's right. Sign in as me. We should be able to use the dev account too, but I know my account. Let's see if we can get logged in here. All right, I'm logged in. I'm going to try the deploy one more time. It might work now that we're logged in. I'm going to cross my fingers. Deploy succeeded. Oh, someone changed it on the Xbox screen. All right, our window size here is a little bit off, but I can come over to my button, click the button, and we got a Hello World application running on another device. This is like the most exciting that it gets. Actual games are much more interesting. I'm sorry, but like now we can say we've run software on an Xbox. I feel like that's exciting. That took 40 minutes. to get Hello World going, but that's okay. That's true. Yeah, 38 was troubleshooting. That is the tough work. Once you've done the troubleshooting, it's faster in the future. All right, we can go ahead and stop it. It's not very interesting now. And close out our properties. We did it. So to change our scale here, we want Xbox. That's the right one here. And then I should be able to move these things around, I hope. So let's scale it for Xbox. This was the scale dropdown. You guys can't see the screen now. Shoot. I need 2 different HDMI ports, right? Plug it in back so everyone else can see my screen. All right. Let me show that one more time. So there's this window size, target size here that you can pick. So we're going to pick the Xbox one. Text lock. Why is this thing so large? This is ridiculous. There's my resize. There. That's like probably a decent size. I'm going to come back, run it locally. And so most of the time, we're just going to run it local because that's easy and faster. Right? I don't need to deploy to Xbox to test most of the functionality. And that's the nice benefit of this being the universal Windows platform, is we can run it on our computer, and then we want to test the Xbox stuff, we push it out to Xbox. But for fun, one more time, I'm going to run this on the remote machine to see if that resizing or rescaling worked out nice. Well, hopefully that's a little bit more centered in the screen here. We'll see how that works. I didn't, nope, I'm dumb. Plug this one back in. What's the power? Okay, I don't want to put the power. All right, we got our app here, mostly more centered. Oh, I don't see any text though. Where'd my text go? Clicking the button. We're not getting the text to change. What did you do wrong with the text block? Is it maybe it's too large for that? Let's go a little bit bigger. And try it on the remote machine again. All right, it's loading up. I can't switch back and forth very easily. I'm sorry. There's the text. Yeah, something's wrong with our sizing because we only get the word hello showing. But that's all right. We're close enough for now. We are close enough for now. Something, I think because it scales to 200%, it's probably cutting it off here. The text is supposed to wrap, though. I'm going to try it one more time because now I'm curious. All right, it's deploying. We're trying our button here. Yeah, now we get the whole text block, and we get, okay, hello world. It shows now. We just had to make it a little bigger here. Awesome. That was super exciting, friends. So that's our first get it up and running. So you need developer mode on your computer. Then you need to connect to the Xbox, make sure you're logged in, get into developer mode. They should stay in developer mode. People don't usually play games on these ones in here. If not, we can do our little shortcut trick here. So what's our left, right, left, right? Where did that one go? This one here. All right, so I'll post that link then. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, it worked. Okay. So this is for the Xbox developer mode. And then you need to log in. So I will probably stay logged in. If it logs me out, you can add your own Xbox account. They're free. You can set up your own here. That's fine. The dev one, I think worked as well. I can try that one later. See if that one worked. So you don't have to. That one might not have because it was local, but we'll log in. PC enable dev mode in settings. Connect via remote device. Target IP address. Now there is one other setting here. If you haven't deployed to the Xbox before, it has you put in a pin. So let me show that real quick. There's show the Visual Studio pin. Back and forth this one. We're trying it here. I'll point you back at the monitors. This whole table doesn't roll, does it? Probably not. It's plugged in somewhere. Let's see. How close are we to the monitors? There we go. So in the menu, there's an option to show Visual Studio pin. So on your first time deploying, you'll need that pin to pair your Visual Studio with the Xbox. It is case sensitive. It's a little bit annoying. Once you've paired, then you're good to go. And you can then deploy to Xbox. And you should be in pretty good shape. Let me plug my computer back in. That might be the last time we switch for a while. Maybe. Yeah, so in XAML, we can have all the GUI things we've done before in here. But it doesn't really look like a game or feel like a game because we haven't really done any game stuff with it yet. And building one out in pure XAML here is not ideal, but it'll work. So we're going to look at the bad way first, and then next week we'll get to a better way as we kind of work our way through some of this stuff here. So on our schedule, right, we're talking about just straight XAML. Next week we'll get more into graphics and game building. Again, the idea is you've got time. So we're going to talk about the final project tonight. So you've got a whole month basically to work on the final project, which is the bulk of your score. There's no final exam. So this group project makes up 40% of your score. A couple people have reached out and asked what happens if they don't have partners. Well, we're going to find some. Right? This needs to be done in the group. This is not an individual assignment here. So in Canvas, I'll set it up so you can self-assign, which would be pretty easy. So let me go out. I'm going to turn off my screen share for a second here because in Canvas, it shows all your names. You probably don't want that, right? So if I go to people and groups, oh, maybe that's quick enough. So I'm going to set up a new group set here for the final project. And it's set up for self-sign up because that leaves this easy for me. So you folks can pick your own groups. I don't need to go and assign anybody here. And I think we had, how many people are still in the class? Let me take a look real quick. See if people are in the class. 42 people. So that should be 11 groups then. And then maybe 2 groups of 3. Every other group will be a group of 4. Should work okay. Now, I don't actually know if all 42 people are still active though. So we'll find out. So the task to do will be to go self-assign yourself here and we'll see who didn't do it. Now, some people might be watching this video later, so it might take them a day or two. I'll shoot an email out to everyone and say, hey, go self-assign yourself if you're not watching live to these groups. We should be in pretty good shape here. And yeah, should be in good shape. So we'll save this. So we'll have 11 groups. In Canvas, you can go to people, find the final project here, and you can just assign yourself to a group that does not have 4 people yet. Should work out pretty well. And then when we make the assignment here, I set this one is now set up as a group project in Canvas. I'll turn my screen back on in just a minute here. I want to make sure I don't show anything stupid because I've done stupid stuff before. Final project. So this one is due on the 20th at 6:30 p.m., right? That's our final exam slot, I believe. And we'll just say 40 points. Excuse me. So I can set you up with the shared repository. For Windows 10, you can't access the design view, for example. Gamer, you should be able to. We can take a look and see. Yeah, it worked on Windows 10 before. There's no reason it shouldn't work. It might just be someone with your Visual Studio, maybe. All right, so we need a GitHub link. All right, I can turn my screen back on here, sorry. So let me set up a GitHub link for you. So have one person accept it, or multiple people can, I guess it doesn't really matter. And then let me know who's in your group. I need your GitHub usernames, and I can give you all access to it. CIS 297, 2023, final project. Do my C# template. All right. Awesome. Yeah, Gamer, we can do like a screen share session or something. Just let me know. All right, so we need over here, let's have one team member accept the assignment and send me everyone's GitHub username. Everyone's, is that? I'm really bad with apostrophes. I don't know if that needs an apostrophe or not. Username. So after you have picked your teams, have self-assigned to a team, come up with a game idea. I usually recommend an Atari game. Simple, something 2D game. So I will build Brick Breaker starting this week and next week. We'll get into Brick Breaker. So you can't have Brick Breaker. Other than that, pick a 2D Atari game. That's usually pretty easy. If you want to do someone else, that's fine too. One year, a team did Flappy Bird. You go up and down, and that was entertaining and fun. And that's why I had the shirt. I think it was the first week of class. Some people wanted to notice. They put my face on it because it was funny. I'm perfectly fine if you meme me. It entertains me, and it's okay. You don't have to. But whatever approach you want to go is okay. But minimum version gamer shouldn't matter. I wouldn't do Windows 11 because I forget exactly what versions the Xboxes have, but it looks like they're updated last sometime in 2022. So a couple versions back should be okay for minimum version when you make your project. So after you come up with your game idea, you gotta. I'd like to approve it. I usually don't say no, but just let me know, right? Pitch the idea to Eric for approval, just to make sure. Yeah, and that way not everyone's going to do the same project, which is also really boring. If everyone does the same game and we see everyone does the same presentation at the end, it's really boring. So usually we get a nice mix of games. Someone did Tetris one time. That was a little harder. They probably borrowed a lot from online. And borrowing some stuff is okay, right? The idea is we're learning to put all these pieces together with our tools. We're not just going to take someone else's project and turn it in, though, right? Like if you can find some logic somewhere for a game, cool. We can model after theirs, but we're not just wholesale copying and pasting in. So for this project, we'll have specific requirements for Git commits. So you can't just have one commit at the end and say, here's my final project, right? I need that Git history to show you've built it piece by piece by piece by piece. It's okay if one person in the team is your main person committing, as long as you're all working together. That's fine. Ideally, you all commit separately, and that's okay. That works out well, but if it doesn't always, if you don't collaborate like that, that's okay. I don't want you like emailing files back and forth because it's really annoying. You're welcome to do it, but it's a big pain for you folks to have to email files back and forth and work collaboratively that way. We have got Git for a reason, and GitHub is nice. Works out pretty well.
Talk to you guys about possibilities.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Bruce. All right. Gotcha. So we'll come up with the game. Part of your score on this will be a team member evaluation. Ideally, your team knows if they're doing a terrible job. Your teammate knows, right? When you figure out what you're working on together, you can divide up the work, you can assign things out, and people do their part. If they're not turning in the stuff they've done, that's not good, and you need to tell them that. Please don't wait until presentations to tell me that one person didn't do anything in your group, right? You need to tell them they're not contributing, they need to do it, or it's not going to work out. I'm okay removing people, but you have to have at least tried to talk to people about it and show me that they're not responding, right? Then I can get involved and help with that. That's sort of the idea. Sorry, did you need the room?
No.
Okay.
I gotta check in.
Oh, okay. Oh, no worries. So there's a teammate eval. With these, you'll commit them to the Git repository because it shouldn't be a surprise. Right? If your team member did badly, you should have been telling them the whole time they're doing badly. Right? So no one's gonna be surprised that you rated them badly if they did poorly. There should be no surprise. So you'll include, so each member will commit a team member eval form to the repository. It's really easy. It just rates them across like 5 different things. I've got the form. I'll upload it in a little bit here. I think I've got it in my folder. I can go find it. And we'll go from there. So that part for your team member eval, usually, let's see, because this is a 40-point project for 40% of your score, makes up, say, about 10 points out of that 40. So 25% of your score just comes from being a good team member. Right? Great. Team like you did a good job. If you sort of did some stuff and you sucked at it, but you're still like trying to contribute, you're still going to get some points. Right? It's not the end of the world. But if the group has to drag you along kicking and screaming, you're not going to get an A on the project. Is that fair? Right? If you just don't respond and ghost your group, I'll kick you out because that's not fair to your group to ghost them. But if you're just not good, you can still get some points. Does that make sense? I keep looking at you folks. I'm sorry because I can see you. Everyone else is behind monitors here, so I apologize. I don't mean to stare right at you. So that's what it is. Please make sure this is not a surprise to folks. Okay. So you're going to turn in your website URL. So you'll just commit the forms, the evals, to the repository. Nice and easy here. And then we'll mark this as a group assignment for the final project group. And then I assign grades each student individually. Right? Ideally, the whole group is awesome, and you all get the same score. Right? If one person is sort of leading the team and they've done most of the work, that doesn't mean you don't get a good group eval. Like if you're just hogging the work and doing it because you enjoy it, because I think a lot of you got into coding because you think it's fun. I hope so. It doesn't mean other people aren't going to get good grades, but like you want everyone to contribute. So just because you're good at it, don't do the whole project, right? And then rate them. Oh yeah, they did all the things I asked them, but I only asked them to do like one thing. That's no fun either, right? Ideally, we're working together. So that's the goal. Peer reviews. Look at that. I don't actually know what that does in Canvas, so I'm going to not do that button. But that looks like a fun button to click. Right? So 10 points of the 40 from the group eval. 30 points from the project itself. So you get 10 points for having multiple commits over the month project. So if there's a single commit on April 20th, you're not getting your points here. I'll give you 1 point out of those 10. If you've got at least 10 commits, you get 10 points. If you have 5 commits, I'll give you 5 out of 10. Does that seem fair? Right? And this is a group effort. And by commit, like not just changing one word, like some chunk of effort here. And we'll go through, this shouldn't be hard to hit here. So 1 point per commit, essentially. Right? Here's the idea here. Okay? And then 20 points for the game itself. Functionality and running on Xbox. So I had someone one semester say they never made it in, never got it running on Xbox, and it didn't work on presentation day. They're like, but look, it runs on Windows. Sure, you can get some points, right? It's not like all or nothing here, but some of these points are coming the fact that you made it work on Xbox with an Xbox controller, right? And do you have that be separate? I can make that be separate, sure. So the game running on Xbox with a controller, we'll say 10 points for that, why not? And then 10 points here. 10 points from the group eval, 10 points for having multiple commits, 10 points for the game running on Xbox with the controller, for the game functionality itself. With classes and 2D library. Does this sound reasonable? Okay. So other game ideas, someone did a little 2D racing game. It was really fun. So you just kind of drive around a track. Right? It was just a single player racing game. You didn't have to have you don't have to have multiple players. You don't have to have computer things. It doesn't need to be anything super complex. right? This is ideally a 200 level class with an intro to C# class. It sets you up for the game design track. If you're taking the game design courses, you'll do scripting in C#, and you'll learn actual 3D tools and 2D tools that are not the cheap, easy ones we're going to use, but the cheap, easy ones work, and they're okay. You can learn Unreal, you can learn Unity and the actual game design stuff. Use a real game engine. That's really nice. We're not going to get into that because you'll learn that later. And we just don't have time to get into a whole other tool here with 4 weeks left of class, right? That's just not going to have a lot of time here. So in terms of the schedule, we'll spend some more time after break looking at some XAML things, get you started getting into groups, getting some ideas together with your groups. Next week, we'll spend more time working with graphics, importing images, those sorts of things, getting them running, and I'll show you the 2D library we're going to use. You can do it all by hand, and you can even do native DirectX stuff if you like using Direct 2D or Direct 3D stuff. That really hurts my head. I got the demos running, and trying to just even modify the demos was awful. I thought it was awful. It's definitely not my cup of tea. If you're into that sort of thing, that's fantastic. And amazingly, there are people who are into that sort of stuff, which is great because we get really cool tools out of them. But doing that by hand is annoying. I find it annoying. So we'll use a library that says, hey, it will interface to all of that stuff for you. You just need to use code, which looks normal to us. And then designing stuff as games here, so that the idea, kind of what we've been doing with our object-oriented programming model, is all of the game logic for all the things we've built, all of our games, should be in their own classes here. The user interface simply tells the game class, here's what happened, and then we'll update the display. Same idea with Xbox. We're going to build the game classes themselves to be independent of anything, and then what we'll ask them to do is display themselves. And when input happens, whether or not it's our keyboard and mouse input happens, or we're using the controller input happens, we tell the game classes, hey, something happened. So the idea behind good game libraries and designing things is the UI updates separately. We just have this thread, and every 60th of a second or so, it should paint itself, update the screen with whatever should be showing based on the game logic. All right, here's all the objects in my game class. Where are you? What do you look like? Put yourself on the screen. And that happens really quickly in a loop every 60th of a second or so on average. And that's how you get your sort of frames per second rate. The faster that can go, great. So we need all of that to happen, the game logic to track itself, and then we just update the screen as fast as we can, essentially. Works out pretty nicely. So we're going to use an animated canvas. We'll get to that does that every 60th of a second tick to display itself. It works out really nice. So you can make these XAML things move on your own if you want. And we can have it running in some sort of loop with a timer and a thread. That's the obnoxious way. We're going to look at that first because it's entertaining. So a little bit of value, I think, in doing it the terrible way and looking at it that way, just so you can appreciate the nice way later. Does that feel bad? Feel wrong? To have to do it the hard way first? Like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. And some of our programs aren't necessarily going to use an animated canvas. So there's other things we can do there as well. Should be fun. All right. So why don't we take a break? I got 7:05 on the clock. Hey, thanks for following along. And we'll come back in about 10 minutes or so. I should remind you there's no food or drink in the lab. Dr. Maxim will yell at me. So we got snacks. Just eat them out at the table outside and bring them back in. If your beverage has a top on it, you're probably fine. But if you spill it on the computer and break it, I'm going to tell him I told you no. Is that fair warning? Okay, awesome. So when we take 10, we'll come back in a little bit and have some more fun. Let's put us at, nope, wrong one. This one, 7:15. All right, awesome. Put the music back on. Alrighty, folks. Alright, I'm changing my mind on the terrible thing. Trying to build a XAML app and do our own timer because it's really obnoxious. So we'll skip that because it's only sort of entertaining. Is that okay? Alright, cool. So I've got a project here. Building this out from scratch is definitely doable. It would probably take a little longer than we'd want to take tonight. Is that okay? If we get into doing Pong, and is going over a pre-built one interesting at all? Okay, rather than building from scratch, I think it's fun. Let me close this one down. And I think I had my, even in my list here, where's my XAML Pong? Is it in here? Not even in my list. Okay, I gotta find it real quick. It's over here. This one looks like it. This is not the one I wanted. Okay, hang on. I've got a different version. That's a better one. No, this will work. This will work. I can show you next one next week. It'll be more interesting. So you can have more than one form showing. So here's our main page, XAML here. What's different about this one here, let me set this for Xbox here too. Hopefully I didn't break anything, is this is going to use the canvas animated control. What this is going to do for us is give us that automatic loop. We don't need to build a thread that runs every 60 times a second and we have to do things by hand. This canvas animated control will automatically call this draw function and the update function for us. So there's canvas draw and there's canvas update. These get called for us on its own loop that it manages for us. So taking away a lot of that pain behind these things. And what we can do then is we can create an instance of our Pong class here. So we can build a Pong class that has all of our logic. It says, okay, I want to do a couple things here. I'm going to use an interface for drawable to say I am something that can draw myself on a canvas drawing session. So you can call draw. If you give me the drawing session, I will draw myself on this drawing session. So this idea that the class needs to be able to know how to draw itself, to show itself on the screen. So we use this canvas drawing session to do that. Then we also have a collidable interface, iCollidable, that says, hey, I collide on the left, I collide on the right, I collide on the top, I collide on the bottom. This is really obnoxious to have to see, does something on the screen hit something else on the screen? Doing this by hand is really annoying. This is why the tools and libraries and engines are really nice, because they manage all this stuff for you. They can find out if two things collide. Doing it by hand, I have to look at every object on the screen and say, did they touch each other, either from the left, the right, the top, the bottom, right? If we're looking at rectangular objects or something basic here. And then we have Pong. So the class itself for Pong then defines our edges. So where's the left and right of the screen here? This is all done in pixels. So the idea with pixels, when we look at our page here, it says, hey, this is 1920 by 1080. That's how many pixels I have on the screen. But what we've done is we've scaled it to 200%. So we essentially have half of that. So we've doubled what we have on the screen. So my sides here then are about half of that, right? So 1920, half of that. And again, I don't want to be right on the edge, right? I'm saying between 10 and 790. So with an 800 pixel range, we doubled up. Let's gives us a little bit of space. And then the top and bottom, right, from 10 to 450, gives us a little bit of extra space to that 1080. Because we get essentially half if we're scaling up. So the idea here is that you're going to zoom in your application. The Universal Windows Platform is a little fun for this sort of thing because you can change your zoom levels. So if you get a high definition monitor, Windows lets you change your zoom because you have so many pixels on the screen that it's really hard to see stuff if you don't zoom. So if you look at your display settings in Windows, there's something in here about your default scale here. So for mine, it recommended 125. I think you saw that before I went to change it here, right? So my scale here I'm scaling up to 125%. So this is like a native Windows thing to make stuff be a little more visible. If you're using a high definition monitor, you're probably scaled to 150 or maybe even 200, depending on what happens to be. So this is the default setting for Xbox. Great, scale to 200. So that's why we get these pixel ranges here. And it's not like math, where your pixel, you don't have an origin in the center. So 0, 0 is the top left. It's a little bit annoying until you get used to working with it. So 0, 0 is the top left pixel, right? My half of 1920, half of 1080 would be the bottom right pixel, essentially. So that's how those locations work. So we're setting up just some static values for the values here. I'm going to use random because it's fun to do some random stuff here a little bit. And then I create some of my game objects. So I have all sorts of classes here that are for my game object. I have a ball here. I have two paddles, the computer's paddle and the player's paddle. And I have a list of things that are drawable that implement the iDrawable interface. So I can quickly go through this list and tell it to draw itself. I don't care what it is. If it's drawable, I'll have it in my list and I can say, please draw yourself. This is a quick way for me to go through all the objects here. It's just one way to kind of build things out. You don't necessarily have to, but it's going to save us some time. And then we're using the gamepad to capture input here if we're using an Xbox controller. So I'll have to plug it in. Let me go grab that. I can plug it in and try it, see if it works. I'm very excited. I've not tried this before, so I don't know if it'll work or not. It worked on Xbox. We'll see. So when you create an instance of Pong, in my version here, you give it a bitmap object for the ball here, because we were trying to add in some images. Again, we're getting a little ahead here. I apologize. Usually we build it out week by week by week and add more features, but that does take quite a lot of time. And we already spent a bunch of time debugging because I can't remember the Konami code for Xboxes. But it's okay. Sadly, maybe not even sadly, that's a very accurate description of how programming in the real world works when you're working on a project. You spend a lot of time just trying to find the right piece of information that you need, and then a little bit of time coding it, or essentially making it work. So, yeah, I look dumb, but it's okay. That happens in the real world. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Nobody knows everything. So we make a new ball. So the ball class here, it has an X, has a Y, and then it has its image here. That's all my ball class has here for ball. Just a place to store some information, right? So I can track this piece of information here. X, Y. It knows its radius, so the radius is useful for doing my collisions. You can change the color of the ball. We used to change the color around. Now we have an image. We would just use something different before. And then I was tracking information about whether or not you were going down, true or false. So if you're not going down, you must be going up. That's just my silly way of tracking this. And then whether or not you're going left, because if you're not going left, you must be going right. So we'll track which direction the ball's going. And for each axis, we're tracking it separately. Doing this by hand is really obnoxious. Hopefully you're learning that. Engines are fantastic, but we've got to start somewhere. So you can make the ball. To update the ball, if it's traveling downward, its Y position goes up one. Otherwise, goes up one, down one. It's a little weird, right? Because increasing the Y means you're getting closer to the bottom of the screen, because 0, 0 is the top left. So increasing your Y value makes you go down the screen, right? Decreasing the Y value makes you go closer to the top of the screen. Traveling left, traveling right, sure. Change color randomly. We did some fun change the color here before we used the image. Again, this is a little bit of a mismatch here because we're just going over the whole thing. So to draw itself, instead of drawing an ellipse, you could draw a ellipse. If you want to make it circular, you just give it the same length and width, right? But they're all ellipses, right? Circles are ellipses, right? So there's no draw circle. So that's the ball class. So you can create an instance of ball here, tell it how big it is, and then it adds that to my drawable list. And then I'll say, okay, it starts going down left. Sure, why not? Then I'm going to add some walls. So I have a wall class. The wall class has an X. So starting X, right? Because the idea is it's a rectangle, right? Where's the first X? Where's the last X? Right? And then where's the first Y? Where's the last Y? Here. And then what color it was. And then to draw itself, it draws itself as a line. That's easy, right? We just tell it what it is. Then my wall class is collidable. You can collide with the wall. So it implements this collidable interface. So we have this collides left, collides right, collides top, collides bottom. So this is my attempt at some terrible arithmetic to find out did this particular pixel collide on my left edge of the wall? Now, a wall that's on the left already, things should collide on its right side. But again, this is just a simple interface for all of these things. No matter where it is, it doesn't know if it's a top wall, a bottom wall, front wall, whatever. So we're going to say, okay, if this x is equal to my x0, then you're colliding on that left edge. Then is your y somewhere in between the top and bottom of my y. Right, so I have my y starting value, I have my y ending value. Right, you collide with my left wall when your x value matches my left value here, if you're anywhere within range of this y. Right? Colliding with the right edge is if you're x1 plus the width of my wall. So where's your x1 value plus the width, because we have a width of a wall here, and then your y is anywhere in between my starting y and ending y. Same idea here. Collides on the top is your x is within range, and then your y matches. You collide on the bottom if my y plus the width matches your y, right? Or you're anywhere within range of the x. Same idea with the paddle. Paddles have an x, have a y, have a width. Paddles have a height as well here. They've got a color. Paddles can travel left or right. This one's a little silly. We probably could have combined this into a single left, true or false, but for some reason this is what I picked. I don't remember why. It's been a little while. So if we're traveling right, go +1. If we're traveling left, go -1. Paddles don't go up and down. They just travel along a fixed y position, right? Just the x changes when you're playing Pong. You guys know what Pong is, right? I should have asked that at the very beginning. Apologize. Okay, good. I don't know. Some of you didn't know what poker was, so what? As I want to admit to. So, did I ever tell you the fun fact about Pong that I learned? It was like the very first video game. Do you know how many lines of code were in the first Pong arcade game? Anyone want to take a guess? How many lines of code it took? No, the answer is 0. It was all done in circuits, physical chips and hardware, not a single piece of code. That hurts my head. God bless the electrical engineers or electrical computing engineers. I have no idea how they do that stuff. So we come full circle with Unreal and blueprints. So this was the first Pong machine, no code. There's an article about it somewhere. Is this it? No, this one's not it. I think this might have been it. History of video games. Code. Where's an article about it? It was really interesting. Let me see. Pong. Little lines of code. Something I can search. Is this not working? My goodness. Pong game. Is this it? Sage AI bot. This was on Atari. This wasn't the cabinet machine. Okay, that's fine. This was a total random tangent. I apologize. That happens to me a lot. All right, that's why coffee, self-medicating, is useful. The caffeine helps you focus sometimes. Anyway, so our paddles then can go left and right, and then they will also collide. Same idea with our colliding logic. Right? Are you hitting the paddle? Mostly we care about the top or bottom, because you might be the computer's paddle at the top or the player's paddle at the bottom. Sure. I had bricks. Oh, okay. I think the idea was to kind of turn this into Brick Breaker. We didn't get there yet. This was still Pong. So if you have a brick, you can put a brick somewhere out there, and then you can destroy it when you're done. Oh no, a brick is a paddle. Okay, no, I think this works. But then you can also destroy it. What did iDestroyable have? I don't think it had anything, did it? I think that was an empty interface. Yeah, it's empty. All right, so the Pong game. Makes the left wall, makes the right wall, makes the player's paddle, makes the computer's paddle. right? Starting them at the middle, right? The left edge plus the right edge divided by 2. That probably needs some order of operations work. That's really interesting. Probably not going to put me right in the middle, but that's okay. Colors for them, adds them to my drawables list. Game over is not true, it's false, right? And sets up random. Then we can set the paddle traveling left or traveling right, based on these true false values. We can update. So this, checking to see if we have any gamepads, if there's any gamepads connected, is how you can go get some gamepad input. What's interesting with this is it's not an event handler. I don't have an event handler for when I push the button or trigger the joystick. What happens is in my update loop here that's running, I'll go see what the position is of my joystick and see, is a button being pressed? So the gamepad gives you an option to say, hey, is this button being read? This get current reading will give you back the state of the gamepad. We'll tell you, these are all the buttons that have been pushed. Here's the state of your joysticks, what position they're in. So you get a snapshot of it that you then go look at and see. So instead of handling events, your game loop is just whenever it goes and fires, you say, hey, is this button being pushed or not? So we get the reading, the left thumbstick. We get the right, if we are, I changed my Y? Oh, I didn't think I could change the Y on my paddle. Maybe I did change that. It's been a couple of years since I did this Pong, sorry. So we'll get the thumbstick value, and I multiplied by 5 because this is a value between -1 and +1, or where it's going. Hi, how's it going? So we can move the paddle around based on the thumbstick reading, X and Y. Then if you've pressed the A button, I'm going to add a new brick. This is where he's trying to make a brick breaker. So this was just a fun, silly obstacle here that you could go at it. We won't push the A button. And then if the game is not over, then we want to do some stuff. So we're going to go through and make a list of all the bricks that we have to get rid of. We just want Pong, sorry. For every drawable that we have in the drawables list, right, this idea we have this list of things that are drawable. This is all my objects that implement the drawable interface. Right? I can give them the canvas session to draw on, and they'll go draw. So we'll get the list of them, and then we'll treat them as this collidable interface. The collidable interface, right? They all implement this interface here. If it's something I can collide with, let's see, did we collide on the bottom edge? So if I collided on the bottom edge, then my ball is now no longer traveling downward. We invert the result. When we were doing colors, we change the color randomly. We say bounce is true. If we didn't collide on the bottom edge, did we collide on the top edge? If we didn't collide there, did we collide on the left? If we didn't collide there, did we collide on the right? And this will look at every item that I have that's drawable to see if we hit it. So I've got the walls, right? A left wall, I have a right wall, I have the paddle and the other paddle. And then as we started adding in all these bricks here, this idea we've added in bricks to my drawable, I can bounce off of random bricks. Just throwing in some fun stuff here. We'll go see if we collide. We'll change our direction, right? So hitting a top and bottom, I change my downward to the opposite. Hitting a left or right, I change my left to the opposite, just to change my direction. And then if we bounced off of something, that brick then needs to be removed. So if it's destroyable, we're going to try and cast it. If it implements an interface, it's not null, we'll add it to this list of bricks to destroy. Now, the reason why we make this list here, you don't want to remove things as you're iterating over them, right? You can't remove it from your list of drawables as you're looping through it. Bad stuff happens when you pull stuff out of a list as you're iterating, right? I think we talked about that way back, like week 2 or something. You don't change the list as you're iterating over it. So we'll make the list then. Once we're done looping through all of our drawable things, now I can go remove the bricks here. We'll update the ball, update the player's paddle. The computer paddle here never misses. This is just the way I cheat it. So the computer will never lose because we're just going to set their X value to where the ball is, minus half my width. So I'll always stay centered on where the ball is. Just to let the computer have an advantage, right? It kind of plays against itself. And then the game is over if the ball went less than the top edge or greater than the bottom edge. If we didn't bounce it before it got to the top or the bottom, that's it, right? And we'll return whether or not we bounced. I don't remember why we returned that. It was probably important somewhere. Okay, so to draw the game, for every drawable, we just draw it. that's my Pong game. So that's the Pong class here. So in my main page XAML here, right, we also can do key bindings. So when we're using the Windows side of things, we still want to be bound on keys because we want the mouse and keyboard to work for us. So when we draw, we call draw game given the animated canvas. This is the arguments here. The arguments given has the drawing session. This is what we draw on. So we gave it a drawing session. We could draw all our objects on that drawing session. So draw, we tell Pong to draw. Right? The Pong class had a draw method here. Where's it? Draw over here. Draw. Just told, given the canvas, told everything that it knows is drawable to draw itself because we know we implement that interface. Go draw yourself. That makes life easy for us. And then to update, we call update, right? The update idea is let's go figure out what happened in the game. So my Pong update here, right, was this method, update. It goes and sees what's happening. We're going to move the paddle here and see if we bounced. The ball will update, the player's paddle will update, right? So when ball updates, the ball will move 1 pixel. It's not very fast. Right? We can change the speed of things later. You can make it move different amounts of pixels. Now, going one at a time makes our collisions really easy. Because if you're moving multiple pixels at a time, if our check for collisions was, hey, did your X match my X here? Right? We said, does your X match my X? If you move more than 1 pixel at a time, this makes detecting collisions a little trickier. Right? Because then you have to say, well, where are you and how far are you going to move? Are you about to collide? Right? Because you don't want to get into where the object is and then they say you collided. You want to say you collided before you actually hit it then at that point. So if you're about to collide with it, that's essentially a collision because we're about to move 2 pixels and they'll move into your space. So it gets a little trickier. So sticking to 1 pixel was a little cheating way for us here. So this should be able to run on my local machine. Give it a shot here. So a couple warnings. It should be okay. Looks like a new .NET Core platform version should be okay. Let's see. The error. Why is the error list in a weird spot there? That's fine. Okay, it's still working on it here. There it goes. So here's my terrible ball image. So I'm moving the paddle with my left and right arrow for a second here. Oh, the collisions when I switch to an image are a little bit funny, I think, because it doesn't remember how large the image is. Needs some work. This is just a demo. But you see the computer paddle is just tracking. That was a weird collision there too. So logic's not great. We're getting there. Let me see if oh yes. Okay, and I can use my gamepad here then, and if I push the A button, we get some random bricks to show up on the screen. Isn't that fun? Wow. It's a little buggy. Let's see if we bounce off any of these. All right, this demo is a little embarrassing. I apologize. You don't mind, right? If we would have built it from scratch, we could have fixed all of it as we were going. Look. Come on. Come on, bounce. There we go. All right. That's Pong. We should be able to get it running on Xbox too if we wanted, right? I should be able to deploy to the remote machine. I was using the controller here for fun. So both inputs seem to work for us. So what was it? What else we were looking at here? Update. Oh yeah, when the key was down, right? So to check for keyboard input, this is linked to the entire canvas. So the event handler is on the canvas itself. That's this animated canvas here. Right? This is the canvas object here. So we put our event handlers for the keyboard handling here. We say, okay, hey, if we did the left key or the right key. So if I hold the key down, it says it's true. When the key comes up, it will set it to false. So if there was the key up event. So you have to hold down the left key to go left, right? As long as you're holding it down, it's true, we'll keep traveling left. When you let go of the key, it will stop traveling left. Because we're not just moving like, I don't want to have to push one pixel at a time, left, 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 left. Like, that'd be really annoying, right? So I just hold the key down. So it's based on a key down and key up event rather than key pressed. Right? No one wants to have to jam the left key or the right key a bunch of times to go left or right. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So, terrible example. We'll work on cleaning this up as we go. Can make this will be a little bit nicer. This was the Pong example. I'm going to do Brick Breaker, like an actual should work nicer as Brick Breaker, right? Where you got like the row of bricks at the top, right, and then the single paddle. That sound reasonable? All right, cool. So, and you'll notice this one is async here to create resources and to set yourself up as an image here. You have to do things a little bit differently because it needs to be asynchronous. This update thread actually happens on a separate thread than the rest of the game. So a couple things get to be interesting when we're dealing with our threads for our update logic. You don't want to block this. So we want to use, if something could be slow, right, we want to do it asynchronously and deal with these creating resources and stuff here. So it triggers it to go. What we haven't looked at yet, and we'll look at next week as well, is how do I set up a title page or a credits page sort of things. So those are nice to have. Like you start with the title page, you have an instructions page, you have the credits page. You should list all yourselves as authors, right? Be proud of it, right? Which is nice. Give yourself some credit. You deserve it. You're building out a fun game. Even if it's nothing super impressive, still there's a decent amount of effort that goes into building out these 2D games. If we're cloning Atari games or whatever we want to pick here. And then the way to launch the game. So we'll look at, we could take this same idea for Pong and launch it as a 1-player or 2-player game. Right? I can set up different key maps and say, hey, player 1 might be using the WASD keys, player 2 might be using the arrow keys. You folks are probably too young to have ever played multiplayer games on a computer with a shared keyboard. That was like amazing back in the day. But anyway, you can do something like that. We could have it for multiple game controllers, game pads if I have more than one controller plugged in, right? This idea where I was tracking my controller input. Where's that one here in Pong? Where did I get my, here it is, my update. So this was the gamepad's first one that was plugged in, right? The gamepads is a list here. So there might be more than one gamepad. So we can detect, hey, are there 2 Xbox controllers plugged in? Maybe we want 2-player mode, right? Or we can give them options in the title screen. Hey, do you want a 1-player game? Do you want a 2-player game? Right? We have more options, more control if we have a starting page that then launches out the game page. And we'll look at that next week as well as we kind of go through building this out, doing a better job working with graphics so we don't end up colliding randomly with things. We should know how large we are. That was a little bit buggy here. And then again, this idea of game building, keeping all the logic separate is sort of the theme as we go here and building out our game so we know what is the state, let it draw itself when it needs to draw itself, and how do we update based on what buttons have been pushed or the state of our controller to see how we update. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for starting tonight. I want you folks to spend time getting into your teams, talk about some ideas for what projects you might want to do, and go from there. So if you've got an idea, if you got your team, pitch it to me now. We'll be in good shape. In Canvas, you should be able to go to the People section and self-assign. Oh, I never hit save on this, did I? Library, there's multiple panel screens, pages. Includes directions and credits. All right, there we go. And I'll hit save on this. All right, folks, thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. Make sure you take that game or the lab safety training and send me your results. I can get you added for access to the room if you want to get in here.
Oh, yeah.